Very good evening to you. Many thanks for joining us on KTN Prime. I'm Linda Gutu. Let's take a look at our top stories tonight.
Sio kwa sababu sina maneno ya kusema, na ikibidi tunasema.
Apologize for what? Kiambu governor defiant over hate speech claims.
Thought there was really no big deal until when one of our teachers was so much affected, just like the students with chest pains and abdominal pains.
To wrap it all, they should compensate all these people because there are some people who have lost their crops, some people have lost their livestock.
Kibwezi residents cry out as spilled oil chokes their main source of water.
The responsible cabinet secretary has not taken political responsibility.
The CS has been politically arranged without evidence of our involvement.
No let up in pressure, but Waiguru gets more defenders on NYS fraud saga. And Museveni and former ally Mbabazi secure nomination for Uganda presidential race. Welcome to the program. I'm Linda Gutu, a sign language interpreter. There at the bottom end of your screen is William Silla. Now, the embattled governor of Kiambu County, William Kabogo, says he has no apologies to make over the alleged hate speech remarks which have caused such a storm in Kenya. But as the governor remained defiant, the opposition party CORD has cried foul, saying when one of their members was accused of making hate speech remarks, he was arrested within hours, whereas Kabogo is still a free man.
The embattled Kiambu Governor William Kabogo has this to say to all Kenyans demanding an apology from him over alleged hate speech.
Who am I apologizing to? I spoke in Kikuyu to those who are in the Kiwanja. If they do demand apology from me, who am I to say no? I will tell them, what am I apologizing first? That people are youthful and they need to behave? You know, people want to insinuate other things that we have not said. Don't put words in my mouth.
While attending a function in honor of a popular Kikuyu vernacular musician, John Nganga, alias John DiMatteo, over a fortnight ago, Kiambu County Governor William Kabogo made remarks which allegedly bordered on hate speech. On Monday, Kabogo recorded a statement with the police after the video containing his remarks was aired widely through social media. Kabogo's utterances that targeted the opposition seem to imply uncircumcised men are childish and lack leadership skills. Officials from the ODM party Nairobi branch say Kabogo's utterances were unfortunate, irresponsible and uncalled for.
A whole governor in a cosmopolitan county like Kiambu, is he trying to tell us that all those uncircumcised people in Kiambu County who voted for him should vacate? Yeah. Are we not supposed to be fearful that he might actually sponsor forceful circumcision or eviction of people that he perceives not to be circumcised? Where does leadership come, and how is leadership related to circumcision?
NAK Kenya leader Martha Karua also weighed in on hate speech and accused the government of applying double standards.
As citizens, we must not keep quiet as our nation slides towards the cliff. The time to act is now.
Do we have a different justice system for CORD-affiliated persons and a different justice system for those who are affiliated to the Jubilee administration? Now, that is what is called incitement.
The Council of Islamic Preachers of Kenya says hate mongers must be stopped now, lest they push the country to anarchy.
Tusingoje mpaka tupelekwe ICC. Tusingoje huko. Hapa tuna mahakama, tuna polisi, wachukue majukumu yao. Wanayajua adhabu gani inastahili inajulikana.
But Kabogo remains defiant amid the backlash.
Gharama ya vita, sisi hatuna haja na vita nitarudia. Lakini pia
we are calling upon none other than the President Uhuru Kenyatta of this nation to come forward and put a stop. Tell his generals to stop inciting Kenyans.
We are therefore calling upon the executive, 1, to apply the law equally to all without fear or favor.
ODM Nairobi branch argues Kabogo's utterances on male circumcision are not only dangerous in a country that is battling tribalism, but targeted the many communities that do not practice some cultures.
We are now getting to the issue of culture. The only other thing is that you are next going to get into the issue of religion. Of course, ethnicity you have already pounded enough. So when one circumcised person turns against an uncircumcised person, or the uncircumcised starts hitting the other one, where are we leading? Where are we heading as a nation?
Patrick Amimo, KTN News.
Where are we heading as a nation? Let's focus on our big question tonight on KTN Premier, asking, do you agree with ODM that Jubilee members are being favored in hate speech cases? Lots of concerns have been raised in that story that has been done by Patrick Amimo. So do you agree with ODM that Jubilee members are being favored in hate speech cases? Let us know what you think. You can tweet us at KTN News, at KTN Kenya. You can tweet me directly at Linda Gutu. I'd love to sample some of your views during this bulletin. Now, let's stay with the matter of hate speech. Former Nairobi Mayor George Aladwa is expected in court on Friday to face incitement to violent charges. Aladwa, who was arrested 12 days ago but later released, was summoned to appear in court over utterances he made at a public rally. Aladwa has since disowned the statement, saying he was misunderstood. Well, Aladwa is among a list of politicians who say one thing, but when their statements land them in trouble, they quickly disown or give new meaning to the utterances. We'll take a look at some of the politicians who have perfected the art of political doublespeak.
Fire! 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 Raila ndiye kuwa president, lazima watu wakufe kiasi. Kwani kuna makosa gani?
A statement made in broad daylight, but to some politicians, the public may be slow to understand. Or is it the politicians who take the public's intelligence for granted? In the case of George Aladwa, it turns out he meant that people will die of joy if Raila becomes president.
Raila ndiye kuwa president, lazima watu wakufe kiasi.
The Kenyan politicians may have perfected the art of pleasing crowds through their speeches and avoiding the long arm of the law in equal measure. The latest, Kiambu Governor William Kabogo.
Nyinyi watu ya magazeti mwambie Raila awache upuzi. Awache nini? Sisi hatutaki upuzi. Na kama wanataka kupeleka watu kotini, mimi niko tayari na niko na pesa ya kujitetea. Tuhamwe. Kutia utida uhoro ihe de siode. Deka na atia. Ana de mwera akina moke utikena moke amondo hadi akatenga. Eto ndo ngeto maka hakili sie katia. Iso kana ade.
8 days later.
Na nikaambia ninyi watu wangu, ninyi wale ambao hawakutahiri mwende mtahiri. Tunaelewana? Ndio. Kuna makosa hapo? Hakuna. Mimi sijazungumza mambo ya kabila fulani au kabila nyingine. Mwili hauna kabila. Mwili hauna kabila. Na nitazidi kuwaeleza ninyi muende mufanye hivyo wale hawakufanya hivyo.
Moses Kuria too knows a thing or two about giving new meaning to one's previous utterances.
Kende mwile. Na kile igire mwabe mokana mafaka manyi. Mafaka ma utama gutugutatu. Nmaigwa. Murdozi yore. Kama mkaze hamukale kelio go kala to wake.
So at that point I was addressing the youth of my constituency. They were angry. I was angry.
When Machakos Senator Johnston Muthama spoke at a CORD rally at Uhuru Park in September, he had this to say over the teachers' strike.
Sisi hatutashindwa na Wamisri. Unaelewa nasema nini? Hatutashindwa na nani? Hatutashindwa na Waradis. Kuanzia wiki ijayo kama walimu hawajalipwa, hakuna mtu ataenda kufanya kazi. Na yule ataenda kufanya kazi atakula mawe.
Later he said he was misunderstood.
Kienda kufanya kazi, maana mshahara ni nduni, haiwezi kutoshelesha watoto wako, haiwezi kukupa we na mkeo mkate kwa mesa. mtaweka mawe kwa mesa na kukula.
When one time Makadara MP Ruben Dolo addressed his constituents over concerns that Kenya Power employees were disconnecting illegal power connections in the constituency,
Mukiona wao weka tairi.
Later,
nilisema weka taya. Weka taya, I think ni maana kusema, sikusema kwamba weka taya au mtu achomwe. Mimi nilisema weka taya. Kama mtu akisema weka taya, mimi nilikuwa na maana weka taya gari ipite.
only a countable number of politicians have apologized over their remarks.
Kutoka leo, hiyo Wamasai wote hatutaki kuwaona hapa kaya.
Very sincerely to apologize.
Ask the politicians, they are either misquoted or misunderstood. Standing by their words or taking the bullet for their utterances may be alien to some of them. And the Kenyan politician will clearly need to learn a thing or two about minding their language. Rita Tinina, KTN News.
Okay, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has summoned the Permanent Secretary, Peter Magiti, and 14 other people to appear before it over allegations of fraud at the National Youth Service. The PS has been summoned to appear before investigating officers at the Integrity Center on Thursday morning. He is expected to give a statement on the saga in which millions of shillings, 791 million to be precise, have been used or paid irregularly to contractors through the IFMI system at the NYS. But Mangere is not the only one summoned. The anti-graft body has also summoned 14 other officers from the Devolution and Planning Ministry to be questioned over the next 2 weeks. They include Samuel Odhiambo, Hassan Nur Hassan, Nixon Ubora, Ruth Keiru, Hesbon Makobongo, Catherine Mwoki, Karen Degwa, John Muyoki, Stephen Jelenga, Penina Dirangu, Fresha Kamau, Moses Ogola, Salim Mola, Kennedy Nyamao. There have been claims that these accounting officers within the ministry and within NYS were in full knowledge of the irregularities and even ignored directives from Devolution Cabinet Secretary Anne Waiguru. About a month ago, 93 officers of the service were given orders of transfer following the loss of 791 million shillings in dubious tendering procedures at the department. However, some of the officers are said to be still in office and were even taking orders from the Director General who had transferred them. So, even as the anti-graft body summoned Devolution Ministry officials over the NYS fraud claims, Devolution Cabinet Secretary Anne Waiguru was also coming under pressure to quit over NYS. Now, Kenya leader Martha Karua maintained that President Uhuru Kenyatta should suspend Waiguru. Karua says that the Jubilee administration is intent on covering up for Waiguru, whose latest predicament follows the loss of 180 million shillings in the Youth Enterprise Fund that falls within her ministry. Timothy Otieno has the details.
The pressure to have Devolution Cabinet Secretary Anne Waiguru suspended over increased cases of misappropriated funds within her ministry is mounting, with the latest onslaught emanating from NARC Kenya leader Martha Karua, who insists that powers that be in the Jubilee administration are shielding her from the long arm of justice.
NYS scandal, which revealed massive siphoning of public funds by known individuals, is yet to be acted upon. No arrests have been made so far, no prosecutions, and unlike earlier cases, the responsible cabinet secretary has not taken political responsibility.
The latest revelation that more than 180 million shillings may have been squandered by the directors of the Youth Enterprise Fund may just add to a long list of alleged corruption dealings plaguing the Devolution Ministry.
We believe this pattern is now a fair representation of the state of affairs within the government, where it's now becoming apparent that people are on a looting spree.
But attempts to have the CS either suspended or step aside have so far yielded no fruit, a situation the former Minister for Justice says may be a mockery of the message of zero tolerance to corruption that the Jubilee administration has been sending.
We are also calling upon the government to order a thorough audit of the NYS, the Youth Fund, the Women Fund, the WESO Fund, and indeed all public funds that are prone to abuse.
Already, a motion by Nandi Hills Member of Parliament Alfred Keter to have Waiguru ousted faced a hurdle last month when 17 legislators withdrew their signatures from the Keter-sponsored motion. And the Mount Kenya Council of Elders have come out strong that Waiguru's detractors stand no chance against the CS, whom they say has nothing to answer.
Ketal has been given a bit of power and his character has been revealed for all to see, and gun for hire, mercenaries.
These statements coming as sources at the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission revealed that the permanent secretary has been summoned to appear before the commission over the allegations. Timothy Otieno, KTN News.
Still on embattled cabinet secretaries, Treasury Cabinet Secretary Henry Rotich has been summoned to appear before the full House of the Senate in 7 days following his failure to appear before the Finance Committee meetings in 4 consecutive sittings. According to the committee, the county governments have not received any allocations in the last 2 months, forcing them to borrow money from commercial banks at high interest rates. The committee also took issue with what they called the dire economic state, saying the country's total debt stands at 2.8 trillion, but it could increase to 3 trillion by next year, June. Rotich was said to be grilled over the Eurobond cash and Kenya's borrowing spree.
So I support your suggestion that we summon the Cabinet Secretary with the attendant caveat that in the event he doesn't honor the summons, he may go to jail, because that's what is provided for in the law. And Mr. Chairman, what is going on in the country is a matter that should worry everybody, the government and the people of Kenya.
Another cabinet secretary in the eye of a new storm now is the Health Cabinet Secretary James Macharia. The Kiambu Governor William Kabogo has revealed that although the government is running the free maternal health services, the counties have not been getting funds for the service for the last 1 year. Kabogo raised the alarm that the revolutionary service, which has earned the Jubilee administration a lot of accolades, risks grinding to a halt within the next few weeks.
The national government promised the people of Kenya. We have continued to give this service, but we are almost grinding into a halt in terms of operational costs because the Ministry of Health has not been able to refund us money since last year, September. And I want to make a passionate appeal to Bwana Macharia to make sure that at least we get half of what we are expecting, because by the end of this week, we will not be able to continue giving free maternal health care, which is promised by the President himself. So I would say, Bwana Macharia, he is letting down His Excellency the President, and he must pull up his socks and make sure that we are funded. Otherwise, we will not be able to give this very, very essential service to very needy families.
Lots of concern out there on the state of free maternal health services in the counties. We are keeping a close eye on that story for you. Now, close to 800 school-going children are among the thousands of Kibwezi residents in Kenya's Makueni County staring at a possible health hazard after an oil spill contaminated their main source of water. And now the residents are staring at possible drought as the contamination blamed on the Kenya Pipeline Company has caused most of the nearby food crops to dry up. Murimi Mwangi has the details.
An environmental hazard, and in its wake, a wizard livelihood of an entire village, and beckoning from a distance, thirst and hunger. This has been the sad state of affairs for 6 months now at Thange village in Kibwezi, Makueni County, following the spillage of oil from a pipeline belonging to the Kenya Pipeline Company that has now contaminated all the main sources of water for residents here. From boreholes to the main Thange River, a lifeline of thousands of residents here is choking, and there's simply nowhere to quench their thirst.
Watoto wetu wameanza kuumwa na tumbo ovyo ovyo, kukuliwa na vichwa. Tukaulizana kwa nini inaendelea hapa? Sababu mafuta ilikuwa imemwagika kwa mto na hakukuwa na mtu yeyote anaweza kutuambia kama mafuta ni mbaya.
What you are saying is the companies that they should be responsible to the damage that has been caused by this oil spillage.
But even more worried are the teachers and parents of close to 800 pupils and students from the nearby Thange primary and secondary schools who are closest to the hazard.
We thought there was really no big deal until when one of our teachers was so much affected, just like the students with chest pains and abdominal pains. He went to the hospital just here at Kibwezi, and it's like he never responded to any treatment. A number of students were affected and told us of abdominal pains, chest pains. We were forced to start buying water.
But despite this glaring evidence of environmental pollution, whose devastating effects is all clear, Kenya Pipeline Company acting managing director Flora Okoth insists that this was just an accident.
It could be accidental puncture of the line by third-party activities. It could be pressure-related ruptures of the line.
They should compensate all these people, because there are some people who have lost their crops, some people have lost their livestock. The lives of these people are at stake. There is oil health complication, including the schools.
The company is blaming the spillage on a pump, which she says has been in use for over 40 years. And although Flora says the company is supplying residents with clean water, the evidence on the ground tells a completely different story.
Kufikia sasa, hatujaona watu wa pipeline wakikabiliana na hii hali vile inavyotakikana. Kwa maana tulipoendelea na kulalamika sana, walituma matingatinga wakasema ati watatuchimbia nini? Watatuchimbia visima za kuendelea na kazi yetu. Lakini hali ilipoendelea pia hiyo kizima ikaanza kutoa tena nayo mafuta.
Beyond a cleanup of the environment, KPC being a responsible company would want to continue engaging with the local community on a longer term basis, not just to ensure that the environment is cleaned up, but to address the mutual relationship.
Back in Thange village, the life of despair and hopelessness persists. As 6 months on, they are still waiting for the Kenya Pipeline Company to clean its mess and safeguard the livelihoods of thousands of people. Murimi Mwangi, KTN News, Nairobi.
You're watching KTN Prime. We thank you for staying with us. There has been a lot of concern in the country of hate speech coming from different quarters, and more so from politicians. And there have been concerns as well on how the hate speech cases are being handled in the country. That is why on our big question tonight we asked you if you agree with ODM that Jubilee members are being favored in hate speech cases. Do you agree with ODM that Jubilee members are being favored in hate speech cases? That is the allegation that they are making. Joseph Kasi says, yes, they are, and we have seen it. We need systems with no bipartisan approaches or favoritism. Let us know what you think. I'll keep sampling your views during this bulletin. We are taking a break. We'll be back. Stay with us. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with KTN Prime. Now, we all know about the militant group in Nigeria that is Boko Haram, that has given millions of Nigerians out their reasons to have sleepless nights. This is a group that has been carrying out attacks left, right, center in the country. And now, there's a new development in that particular story. I want you to take a look at this super wall, because now this super wall is going to show you pictures that have emerged recently and has security analysts really worried. So Islamist militant group Boko Haram has released photos apparently showing a rocket-making factory in northeastern Nigeria. Those pictures are on the super wall. The group has used rocket-propelled grenades in the past, and many Nigerians have been asking where the weapons have been coming from. Now, we understand that these photos seem to indicate that members of the group have a technical know-how to manufacture weapons. I mean, just take a look at the weapons that are on the super wall. Of course, you need someone with the technical know-how to manage that. So the pictures are believed to have been taken in a college in Borno State. Remember, Borno State is one of the states where they have carried out massive attacks in the recent past. They were sent as a WhatsApp message to the BBC House service using a telephone number from Cameroon, and have also been published on sites linked to so-called Islamic State, which the Boko Haram has joined. Here's the thing, and they say it looks as though the machinery is from Bama, a town in northeastern Nigeria, recently recaptured from Boko Haram. An inscription on one of the machines shows the abbreviation of Government Technical College, that is Bama. So it is not clear when the pictures were taken or whether the equipment has been moved from Bama. So those are the latest pictures that we're getting, a clear indication that probably the Boko Haram has the technical know-how to sort of manage this, to handle this. Like all analysts are saying, you need technical know-how to handle this, to manage it, and now it explains why Boko Haram has been able to carry out so many attacks in Nigeria unabated. You're watching KTN Prime. We are taking a short break. We'll be back. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Let's take a look at business news now. The government has finalized the much-awaited $600 million syndicated loan as the state works to ease the biting cash flow crisis. The facility, equivalent to about 61 billion shillings as a 2-year tenure, will help reduce local borrowing and curb surging interest rates. Kenya's borrowing costs have risen in recent months after the central bank raised its benchmark rate by 3% points in June and July to check foreign exchange market volatility. Combined with a tightening cycle and lower than expected revenue collections, the situation saw the yields on Kenyan Treasury bills jump to more than 20%, levels Treasury officials called unsustainable.
The much we are going to adjust, the borrowing will depend on the actions we want to do in the expenditure side. You know, we'll be reviewing, obviously, in the context of a new supplementary budget as we go in, and assess what's so far in the financial year. Where are we? What is the balance in the financial year? And from that, we'll be issuing a new borrowing plan, which obviously will be much lesser than what we had program to borrow at the beginning of the financial year, because part of it will be taken up. We will borrow it from outside, and the rest we will now give a new borrowing figure, which will be far much less than what we have in the budget.
Hey, listen, this is a good story, especially if you're planning to travel up country for the December holidays. There could be a new entrant in Kenya's lucrative transport business soon. The Postal Corporation of Kenya says it will be making a foray into the long-distance bus transport business as it seeks to diversify its revenue streams. Abia Gina tells us more.
It
It has been a tough few years for the Postal Corporation of Kenya, which has been facing dwindling fortunes owing to the influx of innovative products being rolled out in the market.
You think these challenges are so big that they are unsurmountable? I think not.
But according to the Postmaster General, the agency is not hanging up its boxing gloves just yet.
We have actually invested over $4.5 million from our internal revenues to be able to get the enterprise resource planning on board.
It's exciting, and we are working, and we are going to have one of the pilot projects soon in Nairobi, and it is for the benefit of every Kenyan.
Posta says it is scaling up use of ICT in addition to other strategies to win back customers.
We want to get to attract government to do business more with us.
But to further diversify its revenue streams, the Postal Corporation has acquired 2 buses at a cost of 28 million shillings that will not only ferry passengers but carry letters and parcels as well.
We will not break the law. We will not be having manambas who will be shouting and then get arrested. Because we cannot join a circle. We have sought for exemption from that law because of the very key role that bus is going to play other than the passenger.
The corporation's head says they are looking to capitalize on the untapped potential in the country's SME sector, as well as wooing multinationals and government agencies who handle a bulk of correspondence.
We have hybrid mail products that are currently being worked on.
Posta has been attempting to regain its dominance in the market as it continues to face stiff competition from new entrants into the mails and delivery business. In 2014, the agency saw its revenues hit 3 billion shillings, a huge chunk of which was channeled to mainly fund staff and administration costs. However, the agency now wants to triple these numbers by 2016. Abiagina, KTN Business.
Chase Bank has received 1.2 billion financing from the French Development Agency that will be used to fund renewable energy projects in the country. Specifically, Chase Bank will use the credit facility for onward lending to businesses that wish to invest in renewable energy technologies projects such as small hydro, biomass, biogas, solar and geothermal power. The deal comes days after the African Development Bank extended a 5 billion shilling debt to the bank targeted at SMEs.
France in Kenya is more a partner than a donor. What we do in this country is investing in a common future. We do it through the French Development Agency. We do it through loans. So we don't do that many grants, and we don't do charity in Kenya. What we do is partnership, and we work together, and all the money disbursed by AFD is a French government public investment in the future of this country.
Some of these projects are projects that require long-term support in terms of capacity building, and this facility is coming with a technical assistance package. So we are very grateful for this facility.
As Kenya's uptake in mobile payment solutions continues to grow, so has the innovation of unique solutions to meet the demand for easy and real-time solutions. On this episode of Texpo, Nick Wendwa, the CEO of Riverbank Solutions, tells KTN's Joy Doreen Bira on the journey to building solutions for some of the largest banking institutions in the East African region.
Bank Solutions is a payment solutions provider that creates unique payment solutions that are mobile in nature, which allow organizations to execute payment transactions. I created this company in 2008. And those days I had a laptop and a desk only. I went to some friends and borrowed a laptop and a desk and said, just give me a desk. I had my laptop and I gonna do my thing. And so I had some contacts then in Zimbabwe, and there was a new bank coming up in the name of TM Bank, And so we spoke to the owner, who was very interested in introducing a new solution in that market because they didn't want to open new banks. So the central bank asked him, what are you going to do that is new or different? And so he used my proposal of a card of this nature, which you can load money into, and then you can go and make payments at retail centers in Zimbabwe because they don't have Visa, they didn't have MasterCard, and the Zimbabwean dollar at that time was skyrocketing, if you remember, with inflation.
Yes,
so now you couldn't get change on the street, so they're using the US dollar, and it means you couldn't buy something for 20 cents.
Right.
So with my card and my solution, you could buy something for $2.22, and that's how we got in that market. It was my second deal, and was a good business that put us on a good footing. I think $500,000 worth more, and that's how the journey to place. It took me 9 months to find one client, and when we found that client, it really put us on a pedestal to go to bigger things.
When it comes to today's techpreneurs, they tend to do so much at the same time, and then they lose focus of what exactly they're meant to be doing.
Now there are some techpreneurs who focus on one thing and do it so well, most of them become successful. We have become successful, Doreen, because we don't just make anything that is out there. We make something that fits what you are looking for. And so we make proposals, and we go to banks and introduce concepts to them, not just banks, but anyone else want to execute transactions. And we are only transaction based, and we don't deviate. If you come to me and you want me to sell you a server, Doreen, I won't do that. I'll tell you, I have a friend who sells servers, because I only do one thing. It's important for people to understand that if you immerse yourself and dedicate yourself every day when you wake up to doing something, do it to industry standard, do it to the best level, compete with the best in the world, and know how to sell it and present it, then you have a chance competing with the best. Because we compete with the best, Joy. Today is an environment of partnership.
Right.
If you partner with a big guy who doesn't have the technology you have, and you have this big technology brain and you cannot use it because you're not big, then with them we went to the ministry and have delivered fantastic solution to beneficiaries who the government disburses payments, social payments to all vulnerable people and children. You've heard about it.
Welcome back. Let's take a look at sports news now. Tusker FC have an uphill task in the top 8 championships. They hope to retain the cup, but they know it will not be a walk in the park as they face league winners Gor Mahia in a bruising battle that could easily go either side. However, having finished 5th this season, they hope to put a smile to their fans by knocking out Gor Mahia from the top 8. Robinson Okenye has more.
Tusker FC's 3-1 win over FC Leopards on the last day of the Kenya Premier League propelled the 2012 Kenya Premier League champions to seal a 5th place finish on the league table. This was in contrast to the target they had set of a top 3 finish in the league. The 10 times Kenya Premier League champion season was compounded into misery when the then coach Francis Kimanzi left as Leonardo Ripo took over, with only a few games left before curtains closed down on the league.
Obviously, without mincing words, the season has been disappointing. But again, we have to lift ourselves up. We cannot dwell on that.
We had some laxity from the beginning, ups and downs, off form, on form, off form, on form, and truly speaking, it has been a disappointment.
Despite not hitting their targets, Jesse Waiguru has been in phenomenal form, hitting 22 goals all season. With only one trophy left to chase, the Brewers are seeking to retain the trophy despite league champions Gor Mahia standing in their way.
We also deserve to be where we are because we are the defending champions of the top 8, and that's why I said it's going to be an explosive, entertaining match.
The only silverware that is still at hand, so we're going to do our best, and I think we have the capability and also the ammo to do the job.
Having faced Gor Mahia on numerous occasions this season, the Brewers are seeking to better their record against Kogalo. Tusker will take on Gor Mahia in the top 8 semi-final Wednesday afternoon. Finishing 5th on the Kenya Premier League log is not what Tusker FC expected at the end of the season. But with the top 8 trophy still within reach, the Brewers are hoping to keep it in their cabinet. Robinson Okenye, KTN Sports.
2015 SportPesa Premier League Golden Boot winner Jesse Jackson Waiguru has dedicated his award to his Tusker teammates. Waiguru, who found the back of the net 22 times this season, remains adamant that he is a disciplined player, even as reports continue to emerge that he was sidelined from the national team due to indiscipline. Hassan Juma caught up with him and filed the following report.
In the forthcoming Football of the Year awards is a done deal, the Golden Boot Award. Tusker's Jesse Jackson Waiguru was 4 goals shy of catching up with the all-time top scorer in the history of the league. Boniface Ambani and Maurice Ochieng both scored 26 goals a season. However, he believes the football dynamics have changed from then and now, and is just elated by his goal haul this season that earned him his first Golden Boot Award.
The first thing I can say is my coach, Mr. Kimanzi. He always kept pushing me in training. Second, it comes to my teammates. They have really helped me to achieve it.
Jesse Waiguru has hit the back pages for the wrong reasons though. Indiscipline. So, is he indisciplined, we sought to know?
The time I usually spend it at home. And those who say, you know, in this world you cannot be loved by everybody. So, you just accept the critics and you move on.
His national team form is one thing compared to club form, and Waiguru was philosophical on his winning national form.
The national team is another level compared to the club level, and there you need to, you find new players from other clubs, so gelling with them is usually hard because of our national team. We usually get less time to prepare, but if you given time, the form which is in club, it will just be seen automatically in the national team. Yeah.
SportPesa Premier League winners Gor Mahia presented the league trophy to former Prime Minister Raila Odinga at his offices early on Tuesday. Odinga was elated by the team's season achievements and hopes the community-based clubs in the league can emulate the mighty Gor Mahia. Gor Mahia amassed 78 points out of a possible 90 points, a feat that has not been seen in the history of the league. However, they did this despite not having a sponsor, something that affected the side at some point in time, according to the club chairman Ambrose Rachir.
We've been able to support us with finances from time to time. Our greatest challenge is that we do not have a sponsor and we are operating on a shoestring budget. The last 2.5 years we've been struggling on our own, and I want to really let you know that this has been a great team around us in the sense that despite the financial constraints, despite going unpaid for several months, they have remained together and performed their duty.
We now want to see now go from here, not just East African, Africa. Let us now move focus in Africa and see Gor Mahia playing with those other giants from Cameroon, from Ghana, from Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, and so on. If Guinea Equatorial Guinea can do it, why can we not? I'm sure we can.
KTN weather.
Thank you for staying with KTN Prime. Let's remind you of a big question just before we wrap this up. We'd asked, do you agree with ODM that Jubilee members are being favored in hate speech cases? They made those allegations today, so we were asking if you agree with the sentiments that indeed Jubilee members are being favored in hate speech cases. Let's take a look at some of your feedback. Makadem says, yes, the government openly lets them talk as they please. Haman Onyango, yes, the way they hunted Aladwa, yet Kabogo is saying he has no apology to make. James Wanzala says, yes, otherwise Moses Kuria would have been in the dungeons. It seems NCIC is being prevailed upon by Jubilee. Rajesh Mahan says, if politicians utter hate speech, they belong to no party. They are criminals and should be punished. Pim Tava says both coalitions should first put stringent measures to deal with their hate speech. Finally, David Onzere says, strongly agree, Aladwa is pounced on. Why does Kabogo go to record statement? Just your feedback on a big question tonight, whether or not you agree with ODM that Jubilee members are being favored in hate speech cases. That is where we leave it on KTN Prime tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Here's the thing. The whole of this bulletin, we've talked about hate speech. And on KTN News, that is on DSTV channel 274, Zuku channel 14, and Go TV as well, we will have a conversation on worldview. And we're taking a specific look at hate speech, not just in Kenya. This is a global perspective. We're taking lessons from Rwanda, from Tanzania, from Myanmar, from the US. At some point, we'll open our lines for you so that you can be part of the conversation. Use the hashtag WorldviewKTN. Have a good night. I'm Linda Ogutu.